Back in 1959, 9 hikers vanished in the Ural Mountains. Weeks later, they were found dead near a mountain called Mountain of the Dead. The place was later named after their leader. Years later, a college student named Holly got fascinated by this mystery. She decided to put together a team and go to this spooky mountain. Holly got inspired by a movie about another group who tried, but failed, to solve the deaths of the first hikers. Her teacher suggested this mystery as a project for Holly, and Holly convinced her filmmaker friend Jensen to join. They even got money to help pay for their trip. Holly's teacher first learned about this from a book written by a journalist who died in a car crash shortly after the book came out. Jensen thought the government might be hiding something, but no one knows the whole story for sure. There are a few ideas about what happened to the first hikers. One idea is that they got confused and took off their clothes because it was so cold. But why would experienced hikers all do that together? Another idea is an avalanche. But why wouldn't they move away from their camp after it happened? The mystery is unsolved, and some people even think secret Russian military activities might be involved. Holly's team first flew to a city in Russia and then headed for the Mountain of the Dead. This mountain got its name from the Mansi people because of all the strange disappearances there. Holly had a sound engineer, a climbing expert, and a super experienced hiker on her team. They trained, studied maps, and packed supplies before they set out on their adventure. Just then, news broke about 5 American students missing in the same mountains. Searchers found their tents and gear, but no students. Reports said it was a very strange disappearance for these American filmmakers. It gets really cold there in the winter, with strong winds that can easily confuse you and make you walk in circles. There are even theories about weird alien devices or the mythical Yeti being involved. Locals even talked about strange lights and sounds in the mountains when the first hikers vanished. They believe the area is a portal to another world. These American students wanted to follow in the footsteps of the first hikers, and it seemed they might have just done that. Searchers even found a camera that might have clues about what happened to them. Hackers unleashed snippets on their website showing Holly freaking out about darkness pouring out of an open doorway, with Jensen trying to calm her down. We flash back a month. A group of energetic and optimistic American students travel by train to the Ural Mountains, buzzing with excitement about potential success and global recognition. Andy flaunts his new GPS phone, a tool for navigating the mountains, while Holly conducts tests to gauge their enthusiasm for hiking. They reach the town of Ivdel, where they plan to interview the sole survivor of the Dyatlov expedition, who had to abandon the trek due to illness but is now confined to a mental hospital. However, the doctors deny the Americans access, and they only manage to catch a glimpse of the old man holding up a note that reads, "Leave." In the evening, the group heads to a local bar. The bartender serves them some strong local moonshine, mentioning that the Dyatlov group had the same drink back in 1959. Here, they meet Sergei, who speaks English and offers them a ride to the village of Vizhay, their last stop before venturing into the wilderness. The man reveals that his aunt, an English teacher, participated in the search for the Dyatlov group. She claims that in 1959, not 9, but 11 bodies were found near the Mountain of the Dead. Apparently, an unidentified device was discovered beside the last 2 bodies, which looked significantly different from the others, but none of this information made it into the official reports. After this unsettling conversation, the group sets off on foot. As night falls, they stop and set up camp as the weather takes a turn for the worse. Howard cooks a hearty camp dinner, and the group enjoys some lighthearted banter. Later that night, they witness strange lights in the sky, reminiscent of reports of orange flashes seen near the Dyatlov camp. Deciding they won't solve the mystery after all, they turn in for the night. However, morning brings a chilling discovery. Numerous, unusually large, barefoot tracks resembling human footprints surround their tents. The most unsettling detail is that these tracks have no beginning or end, suggesting the creatures responsible didn't walk but rather materialized out of thin air. Nonetheless, they press on to explore the area. The students soon stumble upon an abandoned weather station with the same perplexing tracks scattered around it. Inside a booth, they find a severed human tongue, sending Denise into a panic and urging Holly to leave. But Jensen recounts a legend about a treacherous mountain pass in China where animals and birds inexplicably crash into cliffs, and people go mad or die. The story claims the wind itself is to blame. Holly confesses to having a similar dream: mountains, snow, and a doorway leading to darkness. Then she heard about Dyatlov Pass and knew this was where she'd find answers. In the midst of their conversation, the camera catches a glimpse of 2 shadowy figures sprinting far off in the distance. They continue their trek and unexpectedly reach Dyatlov Pass, the very spot where the original group had set up camp, eaten dinner, and gone to sleep. But something terrifying transpired between 9 and 11 p.m., forcing them to flee their tent in such a state of abject terror that they slashed it open from the inside and ran out into the brutal night, where the temperature plummeted to minus 28 degrees. Holly studies the Dyatlov Pass mystery. She marks where they found bodies. First was Rustam, then Igor, the leader and most experienced hiker. He probably decided to leave their tent in a hurry. Zenaida was closest to camp, but she fought back. Her tongue was ripped out, the only one to resist. Others died from cold, but some had strange injuries, broken ribs and crushed skulls. It's weird because there were no cuts or bruises on any bodies. Something broke bones without a trace. It gets even stranger. One body had high radiation levels. Nobody knows why. 2 other hikers stayed by the fire and froze to death when everyone else left. Back with the present-day group, Andy is shocked. They walked way too far in one day, and their electronics, watches, GPS, even compasses, all stopped working. Some want to leave the mountains, but Holly convinces them to stay and film their documentary. Later, Holly's radiation detector goes off. She and Jensen climb a slope and find a strong radiation zone, but not deadly. Then, they find a hidden entrance, a bunker with a metal door. Holly wants to open it, but Jensen worries it's dangerous. The Russians wouldn't build a bunker here for no reason. Maybe they locked something scary inside the mountain. But luckily, the door isn't even locked, just stuck shut. Holly asks Jensen to keep this a secret to avoid scaring the others. They go back to camp for the night. Disaster strikes in the morning. A huge avalanche crashes down, killing Denise, hurting Andy, and destroying their tents and supplies. Everyone blames each other at first, but then realize someone tried to hurt them. They help Andy and try to call for help. Holly reveals the hidden bunker, which makes Howard mad. Why suffer in the cold when they could be warm inside? They shoot a flare and wait for rescuers. 2 figures appear, saying they saw the flare. But Andy doesn't trust them. They came too fast with no backpacks. He stays behind to slow them down while the others run. The strangers shoot Andy and injure Howard. Holly, Jensen, and the hurt Howard barely escape into the bunker. The strangers chase them, but the students slam the bunker door shut. Inside, the flickering lights barely show anything. As they run through tunnels, they find a lab filled with strange machines and papers. Old diaries mention people who died doing their job and details about a crazy American experiment, teleporting a whole ship. Howard feels sick and stays behind. Holly promises to find a way out if he helps them later. The students keep going. Soon, they find fresh bodies of soldiers, one missing a tongue like the one they saw before. But other bodies are really old, even just bones. They open another door, sensing something moving inside. Bam! Under their flashlight, they see their own camera, with their recordings on it. Jensen remembers the ship teleportation story. Maybe that happened to them too. Back then, some soldiers changed into horrible monsters. Just then, they hear Howard screaming and run back to find him getting ripped apart by 2 creepy, almost human monsters. They look like skeletons with skin stretched over them. These monsters can teleport too, appearing everywhere in an instant. Jensen and Holly have to leave Howard. They race out of the bunker and slam the door. Shockingly, the monsters don't follow. Outside, instead of snow, they see a giant, round fossil tunnel. It's how the monsters teleport. Holly throws something inside and the tunnel glows. Looking closer, they find drawings on the walls made by people who lived here long ago. They stumbled upon an ancient city built under the mountains. These portals could be anything, even weapons hidden around the world, explaining all sorts of mysteries. No clue where it might lead, through time or space, but Jensen thinks they need to focus really hard on where they want to go. The only place they both clearly picture is their camp by the bunker entrance. They have no other choice. Into the tunnel they go. We jump back to 1959. A Soviet search party stumbles on bodies, a big surprise since everyone thought the 9 expedition members were already found. Confused soldiers take the bodies to a bunker. One high-ranking dude picks up a weird camera, having no clue what it is. The soldier wants to put the bodies with the others, but the boss orders a separate room for a doctor to check them out. As they undress the dead folks, the soldiers are freaked by their strange clothes, way too outlandish for the 1950s. The dead people, Holly and Jensen, look like they've mutated, and the soldiers hang them on hooks in a separate cell. The leader puts the camera under a bright light. Everyone leaves, then the dead things come back to life. The man looks over at the woman. She stares right at the camera, revealing an angel wing tattoo on her neck, just like Holly had.